Yeah, so Kizz Daniel has been in the news lately.
Yeah.
Some controversial statements in which he made some very, very damning accusing statements about the music industry.
Cabalism. I mean, never mind. The point is,
Well, there's some truth to this statement, though.
I mean, let's just address the reason why Kizz Daniel will say that there's a cabal in Nigerian music. I mean, it feels like there's a cabal in Nigerian music, and that's why his music doesn't have a lot of social media conversations or offline appeal. Does that make sense? So over the past, since Kizz Daniel dropped his sophomore album, 2020, he was on jury with Adekunle Gold. He had some moments, but things were not really rosy. He had the record with Skibby, didn't really pop as well. And then he dropped his album, King of Love, fantastic body of work. It's such a good body of work. But people just didn't care. It just went under the radar. I mean, timing would have been a problem with it as well, but it went under the radar regardless. But now, over the past, since the turn of the year, he's released like 3 or 4 songs. Those songs, especially Lie, for example, big song digitally, especially on DSPs. But on social media and offline, there seems to be like a quietness, a silence, a deafening silence to Kizz Daniel's run. And that is one thing that can really drive a man crazy. Because regardless of how you want to look at DSPs, my brother, they are getting bigger, but bro, they still don't define much. Like I've said severally on this show, radio remains the biggest evangelist or the biggest ground for promo for Nigerian music, because nothing is like the reach of radio. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. If you can find a place that can give you 2 million unique listeners per week, anywhere where you can find it, let me know, from Nigeria or from one city, let me know. So that means your song can be getting 16 million unique listeners per day, per week sometimes. So bro, anywhere that you can find that, let me know. So on radio, if your song doesn't have trend on it, because the powerful people are not talking about it, and then on radio it's not getting as much love, but you're getting big on DSPs, you're going to talk about cabals as well. So that's the problem with Kizz Daniel. It seems to think that there's an agenda against him. But as for the question that you've asked initially, that is there a cabal in Nigerian music? Cabal has such a negative connotation. Do you understand? Like, it's inherently negative. It looks like this aristocracy or oligarchy of esteemed elites in Nigerian music deciding and being the master purveyor of what obtains and what doesn't obtain, with that essence of black magic, you know, like maybe in old Rome or something. That's what it sounds like, cabal. You know, like it's like a small sector of people. But the truth is, regardless, any industry that you look at, there are different enclaves where people are very influential, and those people tend to determine what succeeds and what usually doesn't succeed. For example, look at DaBaby. Since DaBaby had the full power, his career has not been the same. Look at Tory Lanez. Good album since he allegedly shot Megan Thee Stallion. Not been the same. In Nigeria, look at North Boy. Since he talked about Whiskey on Pulse, his career has not been the same, right? So you can literally see the influence of power in different music industries across the world. But the question I want people to understand is, in Nigerian music, it's more unspoken. I mean, there are places where some people are generally blackballed. Obviously, it's in every industry, right? But in Nigeria, it's more unspoken in the sense that people like to affiliate themselves with people in this industry. So it's more of a thing of, I know this person is not cool with that person, and this person is someone I have to get something to gain from, so I'm not going to be friends with this person at the expense of my relationship with this person. So if I have to shit on that person for this person, then I'm going to do it. And it's not a Nigerian music industry thing alone, it's all over the world. So in terms of the idea of their cabal, everywhere you look in every industry, there are influential people. Do you know the amount of power that Lucian Grange wields in American music? Really? Lucian Grange, the leader of Universal Music, literally the biggest music company in the world, or record label in the world. Do you want to know the amount of power it wields? So, everywhere you look, either in journalism, on radio, or label services, social media influencers, whatever, there are powers there, and those people tend to be able to influence things. Now the thing is there a reason why Kizz Daniel could have been blackballed? That's the big question now. The question is, we did an episode about Kizz Daniel earlier in the year, and some of these reasons were mentioned there. I think you should go watch that. You might gain some insights. He obviously doesn't have the greatest reputation in Nigerian music. A lot of people don't like his personality, they don't like his attitude, they think he's rude, he doesn't come for interviews. People generally don't like him, right? He's not exactly the most likable person. But is there an actual movement to shut him down? I can't say personally, and even if I could say, I wouldn't say it on this platform because there's no proof to it, right? But the thing is, the way the world works, right? You don't have to be liked. A lot of people are not liked. Michael Jordan wasn't liked, but was Michael Jordan respected? Yes. Most people don't know Wizkid enough to like him. They just like his appearance of big ways. Most people don't like Burna Boy. People think Burna Boy is cocky, and he is. But guess what? There was a time that Burna Boy had those issues, right? Where it felt like he was blackballed. But the thing is, it wasn't exactly a thing of blackballing. It was just a thing of, as much as you are gaining more power in the eyes of people, you are sort of falling out of reckoning. Does that make sense? So people there's a negative perception around you and around who you are, and it reflects in how people perceive you and your music. Now, there might have been people that he might have crossed personally that could have something against him. Maybe those guys are militating against him. I don't know. But what I do know is that he has a negative reputation in the industry, and he needs to fix that. It's not something that can't be fixed. It's just something that the right amount of outrage can solve it. Look at Burna Boy, for example. Burna Boy at some point didn't have the greatest reputation in them. He was literally headed down a negative path, a path of destruction. Literally, he was. Let's not kid ourselves. But then somehow, because aside the fact that he was releasing good music, Kizz Daniel's King of Love was filled with bangers, but people didn't care. The amount of bangers on Burna Boy's outside, this is my opinion. The amount of bangers on Burna Boy's outside, on Kizz Daniel's King of Love was probably more than Burna Boy's outside. But the difference is, Burna Boy had a year where he slowed down and sort of revamped his image. A reduced amount of negative publicity, right? It's not like he was reaching out to people to consolidate relationships. No, he had a fantastic PR person that could smoothen things over, that had fantastic people skills. Even if Burna Boy or his management didn't have it, he had a PR person that had the reach and people skills to solve these problems, right? So slowly, they made the conversation become about Burna Boy's music. Since then, he has had power, a lot. He's had one with the Coachella thing. He's had one with the Coachella. He had one where he was ranting on social media. He had one where he was commenting about Peruzzi. He had the Davido episode, right? But guess what? People are not judging him as a problematic person. Even though people can still perceive that Burna Boy is so problematic. He doesn't stick anymore. Not just because he used music to cancel it. Because the significant amount of it is filled with positive publicity that the negative publicity can't erase. For Kizz Daniel, he's too obscure for that. He doesn't go to interviews. Burna Boy doesn't go to interviews, but you see Burna Boy. You understand? You feel the presence. We can't say the same for Kizz Daniel. Now, you can also argue that Kizz Daniel is not as big an artist as Burna Boy. No problem. That is not in question at all. But Kizz Daniel is a big enough artist. He is big enough. So this question is not about it's not just about the issue of cabalism. It's about what can Kizz Daniel do to fix his own problems, to fix his own image, to fix his own personality issues. It was said on the last Facts Only episode. Now, this thing gave him a lot of publicity. Some people who don't usually say any negative word about Kizz Daniel, about artists generally in Nigeria, said some negative words about him through subs, obviously. I mean, it's a sub, so it's meant to be read. So we read it, read the direction of the sub, and we knew where those things were going, right? So it shows that he needs to fix himself, not anybody else. That's it.
Alright, so this seems like an L for Kizz Daniel's PR team.
Maybe not for his PR team. An artist, a PR team can only work with to the extent that an artist is willing to be worked with. Does that make sense?
So you're saying Kizz Daniel needs to fix some things?
He might need to do that. To find a PR person that might be willing to fix his problems is not the hardest thing to do. Is he willing to do it? That's a bigger question entirely. I might not be able to answer that right now. So what are the things that he needs to fix? He seems to have a PR problem and a brand representation problem that obviously even people in his inner circles that are as powerful can't override. I won't use my entire mouth to say what I want to say, but that's about how far I'm willing to go on that. He needs to step out. He needs to reintegrate himself. If you have to show fake love, show fake love. People like a lot of fake shit in this industry, like in every industry. If you have to smile for the fake shit, smile for the fake shit. You don't have to like them. People. As a matter of fact, I realize that people don't want to be liked. I think people just want the idea that you value them enough not to shit on them. I think that's what people like in this industry. So if that's what you have to do, then you have to do it. But hire the right people to have you in the right mind, to push you in the right direction, to know the circuits that you need to be in, to know the kind of things that you need to say, to know how. If I was Kizz Daniel, the first interview that I will have is a tell-all interview where I'm going to admit all my wrongs. I'm going to say the reason why it's like that, and I'm going to say why I want to fix them. That is the first thing I would do. But guess what? There are a lot of smart people in Kizz Daniel's corner. He hasn't done that yet. What are the chances that he's going to do it? None. And that's facts only.